Well, we're only a few days away from the 2017 NBA draft, so I thought it was appropriate right here, right now, to have my one and only NBA draft Q&A. So here it is. Thanks for you that went to Twitter at @TheJeffSchlegel is the Twitter handle and asked your NBA draft related questions. Let's go ahead and get started. And I really don't know what I'm doing with my hands right now. Let's begin. Now, one thing of special note, as I was going through Twitter and copying the questions onto the Word document, I forgot to put who asked the question. So my apologies, not an intentional slight. If you want to shout out in the comments which question was yours, please do. Have any thoughts about what I talk about in this video? Please share them. Like this video. Subscribe, damn it. That's what you need to do. All right, let's go ahead and get started. First couple of questions are Dennis Smith related. The first one is Dennis Smith underrated? I really don't think so. I think, frankly, he's been mocked right about where he should go, ranked right about where he should go, based off of the player he was, based off of what he showed at NC State. Now, is there a chance that he overperforms his draft position, depending on the situation and team he ends up with? There's a very good chance. But I wouldn't say he's underrated. The next question is Dennis Smith Jr., the steal of the draft. He could be one of them because, again, his ability to score at the position he plays, since it's such a point guard-driven league, although you would really argue it's truly driven by the wings, and I agree with that, and I've been agreeing with that for years, he has a chance to be one of the steals of the draft. I don't think there's any question about that. Some other guys could be real steals in this draft class too, guys like Zach Collins, Lauri Markkanen, Donovan Mitchell, Harry Giles if he's healthy, Malik Monk definitely could be because of his ability to shoot the basketball. So he's got a chance to be one of those guys that could be a steal. I don't know if he'll be the absolute steal of the draft, but in that category. Next question, would the Lakers be hypocrites to take Josh Jackson instead of Lonzo Ball due to Jackson's off-the-court issues? This is kind of a 50-50 yes or no. If you're concerned about somebody's dad and the kid himself has committed no legal infractions, hasn't gotten any trouble with the law, and you're concerned about that, but you're not concerned about a Josh Jackson and some of the stuff he's done off the court, while not super significant, it is a little concerning, then that could be perceived as hypocritical. And if people are going to think that, understood completely. On the flip side of that, some of what Josh Jackson maybe has done, some of it, could maybe be attributed to being 18, 19 years old, being a young, dumb kid. You know, think about, for those of you that are in your mid to late 20s and early mid 30s or older if you're watching this video, think about some of the stupid shit you did when you were 18 that you wouldn't dream of doing when you're 28, let alone 38. You know, I think back on back when I was 18 and how I was and how I conducted and carried myself and the way I viewed the world, and I look now back at 36 and it's an entirely different way of looking at things. There are a lot of things that I would do differently. So on that standpoint, when you think about it, you're assuming that maybe some of that immaturity has led into that, and as he grows and matures, he'll get past that, where the potential for LeVar Ball to hang as a cloud over his son and whatever organization he ends up playing with could be a year in, year out type of issue. I don't know that it's that hypocritical. So I could see it really from both sides of the fence. The next question, should the Lakers trade up for Markelle Fultz? And to me, the simple answer is no. You already have D'Angelo Russell. Why would you want another slightly upgraded version of him? I'm sorry, I just don't get this buzz with Markelle Fultz. I don't see why everybody is so giggly tits based off of what I saw at Washington. This was a high-volume scorer that played for a crappy team, didn't really elevate the play of his teammates, didn't really show up very well in the clutch and in big moments against big opponents. Not to mention the fact that you're talking about a guy here that I think lacks explosiveness to play the point full-time at the NBA level. I wonder how much he can actually create for others and make others better around him. No. If Fultz fell to the Lakers at number 2 for some inexplicable reason, which isn't going to happen, then you take him. That's an option. But trading up for him, I don't see where it's worth trading up for him. Let's say one of the rumors I saw was the second overall pick of Julius Randle to go up one spot to get Fultz. What is so discernibly different between a Markelle Fultz and, let's say, Alonzo Ball or a Josh Jackson or something like that, to where it necessitates moving up a spot and giving up an NBA player on top of that to go get that guy. I just don't see it, especially when you have a version of him already on the roster in D'Angelo Russell. I don't think Fultz is a needle mover for the Lakers. I just don't. So, no, I would not. Where does this draft class rank with the last three? I think it's much better than last year's class, headlined by Ben Simmons and Brandon Ingram. I think there's no question about that. The 2015 class with Karl Anthony Towns and Porzingis, it may be equivalent to that. And then what do you have? Wiggins and Parker might be better than that one. I do think this is a pretty good draft class. Where do I rank it within the last three? It might be the best. It might be on par with 2015. Should the Chicago Bulls trade Jimmy Butler for Jaylen Brown? No. Kelly Olynyk? No. And the number 1 overall pick? No, no, no. Just no. The Bulls should not be trading Jimmy Butler. The Bulls should be building around Jimmy Butler. He is a two-way star in this league. I'm sorry. If the Bulls trade Jimmy Butler, then what are you going to do? You're restarting again. How many times does this damn organization have to restart again? And Jaylen Brown, who knows what you're even going to get out of him? You throw an Olynyk in, and he's a bench player, and that's what he is. He's a bench player that's important for a good team like the Celtics, but he's not a needle mover. He's not an organization changer. And the number 1 overall pick, so what? You could sit there and take Markelle Fultz. Markelle Fultz, Jaylen Brown, and Kelly Olynyk for Jimmy Butler is an absolute no to me. Because who's to say that Markelle Fultz is a needle mover for an organization? Now, some are going to say, how much has Jimmy Butler really moved the needle? Perhaps. But how much of that is due to the incompetence of Gar Forman and John Paxson and that Chicago Bulls front office? Jimmy Butler, with better help around him, should be an organization mover. I love Jimmy Butler, and if you're going to trade Jimmy Butler, you better get a much better package than what you just proposed there, even though that would be something that would potentially be proposed. Because, again, you're going to be starting over, and then there's no guarantee that you're going to get any marquee picks in the next couple of drafts. So I just don't see where the end game here is. Now, with that being said, if you think LeBron is going to stick around in the East past the last year of his contract here in 2017, 2018, then where do you go with Jimmy Butler pushing 30 and everything else? That's a fair question. But for right now, I just don't see where the need is to do it, even if you're concerned about Butler opting out of his contract soon and getting ready to command real max money. Next question. Do you think De'Aaron Fox could drop out of the top 5? Absolutely not. I'd be more surprised if he didn't go second or third as opposed to him dropping out of the top 5. I'd be stunned if he wasn't one of the top 3 picks in this draft, potentially number 2. I think his stock has been rising for some time. I'm a big De'Aaron Fox guy. I see no way, shape, or form, any circumstance that he is dropping out of top 5. Because if he got there to pick 5, Sacramento, if they didn't move up already to get him, would take him, and that's the end of this matter, period. And if they were able to get him at number 5, then at least the Sacramento Kings could finally claim for the first time in several years that they finally did something right. With rumors swirling, should the Celtics trade the number 1 pick or take Markelle Fultz? I think ultimately this depends on what happens. There's a very big part of me that does believe that Josh Jackson is a better fit for what the Boston Celtics want, what the Boston Celtics need. For some that say, well, you just took Jaylen Brown. Personally, I think Josh Jackson is quite a bit ahead of Jaylen Brown as a prospect coming out of college. Furthermore, there's a part of you that could say that Jaylen Brown could play the 2, Josh Jackson could play the 3. In smaller lineups, you could play Jackson at the 4, you could play Jaylen Brown at the 3. Jackson's athletic enough to defend 2s and maybe some 1s as well. I like his fit in Boston, even if he's not the best immediate impact guy. Fultz would be the best immediate impact guy. But are you just trying to sit there and take the Cavs next year to 5 or 6 games, or are you trying to be the one that ultimately usurps the Cavaliers and potentially gets LeBron out of the damn Eastern Conference? That's what you have to think of here. And for the Celtics, the one deal I saw proposed from the Sixers was the Sixers moving up from 3 to 1, and the Celtics getting that 3rd pick, and then being able to get a future first-round pick out of it. I believe it's two of them. One of them would be the future Lakers first-round pick, and then there's another one in the mix. That draft pick currency is going to be incredibly valuable in future years, especially as you look at these teams that overcommit so much of their financial resources to 2, 3 guys on their roster to the point where you pay 2 or 3 guys max money, you're almost at the salary cap already. Those young players that you can bring in that can contribute some on rookie contracts with a significantly decreased cap number compared to established veterans are going to be precious commodities. Precious commodities. So for the Celtics, I don't see what's so different between a Markelle Fultz to Josh Jackson, where I wouldn't trade back, get Josh Jackson, and get multiple future first-round picks. I don't see Fultz as an organization changer. If I did, then I would clown the Celtics for passing on him at number 1. I don't see him as that dude, so therefore I won't clown him if they made that deal. Next question, who would you gamble on being a second-round pick who develops into a solid role player in the league? Honestly, I don't know yet. It will depend on who ultimately goes in the second round. Because with the NBA draft, once you start getting into the teens and the 20s, it can really be a crapshoot in terms of who goes where. There are going to be a couple of guys that should have been first-round picks that will go in the second round. Maybe a Bam Adebayo from Kentucky would be one that I would think of, that if he went in round 2. Tyler Lydon from Syracuse, if he went in round 2. But I'm sure there will be other guys. Derek White from Colorado would be another one that jumps to mind if he doesn't sneak into the tail end portion of round 1. Once the NBA draft is over, then you'll know who I think are some second-rounders who could develop into solid role players at the NBA level, because some of it will be about scheme, fit, opportunity, all of that. With the Lakers and 76ers talking trade, what trade makes the most sense for Boston? And what you're referencing is trading back from 1 to 2 so the Lakers can take Fultz, or the Sixers from 3 to 1 so that way the Sixers can take Fultz. To me, the Celtics trading down to 3 makes a lot more sense, because there will be guys there at 3 that could still be of tremendous help to them short-term and especially long-term. And to be able to get some of the draft pick currency they'd be able to command from the Philadelphia 76ers to move back from 1 to 3, I think the benefits of that deal far outweigh anything that the Lakers could offer, like the number 2 pick in Julius Randle. I'll roll the dice with what Philly's offering personally. Who do you think the Knicks should target? You got a couple of names. The one that stands out to me the most is Malik Monk. He's that dude for me for the Knicks in terms of what he could do. Another guy, if he fell, would be Jason Tatum, because there you could play the 3, Porzingis the 4. You feel a lot better about your front court and your offensive abilities, especially looking at a potential replacement for Carmelo. You could argue they desperately need point guard help, so maybe somebody like Ntilikina, somebody like Dennis Smith Jr. Any of those guys in that range, I think, would make a lot of sense. Where they ultimately go, we'll see. But the guy that always leaps out to me for the Knicks is Malik Monk. Although, if he fell, Jason Tatum would have a whole hell of a lot of appeal. In your opinion, who is better is the next question. Jason Tatum or Jonathan Isaac? Right now, Jason Tatum looks like a guy that could be a top 2 or 3 option for Rookie of the Year, because he'll be able to come in and play 25 or so minutes a game, and he'll score some points. Long term, I look at the athletic upside of Jonathan Isaac, and man, it is incredibly appealing. A guy that could play some 3, some 4. He's got some skill, an explosive athlete, a rim protector, defensive upside through the roof. Long term, I think Jonathan Isaac is the better prospect. And another guy, back to the question about Dennis Smith being a steal, Jonathan Isaac, if he's drafted somewhere between 6 to 10, could end up being a real steal out of this draft. And which trade is more likely, the Sixers moving up for Fultz or the Kings for Fox? A couple of days ago, I might have said both of them. Now it clearly looks like the Sixers moving up to get Fultz is the most likely. I still wonder if the Kings want to move up for Fox. If he's your dude, make the damn deal. Make sure you get your dude. There's nothing worse than having your targets on one dude, thinking he's the perfect fit for you. He clearly doesn't mind playing there, wants to play there, is willing to take on the challenge. He can be potentially a needle mover for the Kings organization, a good start. Him and Hield in the backcourt would be a good combination. If they think Fox can be that type of guy, then yes, that might mean you have to trade 5 and 10 to go up to number 2. I don't know how likely that is. I feel like the Kings are going to lose out here unless something happens in front of them. They get really lucky and Fox falls to them at 5. But right now, it's the Sixers deal for Fultz. that makes the most sense. Again, thanks for your questions. Stay tuned for some other draft videos coming up this week.